think we're talking about were envy. It's job envy, it's wealth envy.
Well, yeah, I think they are selling envy. Democrats think highlighting the gap between rich and poor and saying government must step in and stop the rich from getting away with stuff wins them votes. I think it probably does. People call it class warfare. But Pollster Scott Rasmussen says I'm wrong, that class warfare doesn't really work.
Well, certainly if you say somebody else is getting away with something, people don't like that.
That works.
That works. And if you can convince people they're getting away with something, boy, that's really powerful. But the reason that calling for higher taxes on the wealthy works today is because most people think higher income people pay a smaller share of their income on taxes than anybody else. People don't want to soak the rich. They want to make sure that everybody pays the same share.
Most Americans believe that rich people who pay much more in taxes actually pay less.
That's
the
a smaller
Warren Buffett
share of
story,
their income.
I pay less than my assistant.
And part of it is skepticism about anything to do with government. Part of it is if you're rich enough, you can hire a good attorney or accountant to get you some special benefits. It's this suspicion.
And some of that's true, but in numbers, it's a lie, right?
But 2 out of 3 people believe the middle class pay a larger share of their income in taxes than anybody else. And by the way, not just when they look up on the income spectrum, a large number of people think those who make less than them aren't paying a fair share either.
And a fair share to most people in your polls is no more than?
Well, no more than 30% for anybody in America to pay to all governments, federal, state, and local.
I would love it if I paid 30%. I'm paying over 50%
Of course.
now.
That's right. People don't have a sense of how high taxes are, and they even underestimate how much they pay themselves in taxes.
Now, a Republican talking point is that 53% of Americans don't pay federal income taxes.
Yeah, this is class warfare of a different type, and it really doesn't make any more sense. They're paying sales taxes and state taxes and other taxes. And what's really interesting, they are more opposed to tax hikes than upper income Americans.
Really?
Yeah, and then it makes sense because if you're at the lower end of the income spectrum, every dollar matters. So you can't afford to shell out that little bit of extra money. Those middle income and lower middle income Americans are the core of the anti-tax movement in America.
But Republicans, you say, are deceitful when they talk about income tax because payroll tax, all the other stuff.
Yeah, and by the way, it used to be income tax was the big part of it. Payroll taxes have been growing and are now a huge portion of everybody's life.
Another piece of poll data from you that surprised me, only 16% think that today's children will be better off than their parents. And that's a new low.
And it just continues to go down. We have reached a point where it used to be people were thinking, oh, there's a business cycle. We're going through a bad economic time. Now they're really concerned that something has fundamentally gone wrong, and they're not sure America can get out of the economic mess.
Another poll that surprised me, people think their own congressman is on the take, that he'll sell votes for cash?
Well, sure. This is what they think goes on. Most Americans believe the only reason business people give to politicians is because they're afraid the politician will hurt them if they don't. It's a legalized extortion racket. That's what people are seeing, and they think their own representative plays in that. And by the way, only 1 out of 4 people think their own representative in Congress is the best person for the job. It's just they end up voting for the lesser of 2 evils.
And he's probably not the best person for the job.
In most cases, probably true.
You say a proposal to combine means-tested programs into a single item and stop the growth would be popular. I can't believe that. Every time I talk about cuts, people scream at me. And when I've seen poll data on cutting any Medicare, Social Security, people...
Well, Social Security is not means-tested. Medicare is not means-tested. Medicaid is. 71% believe it's too easy to collect these welfare programs. And that what they'd like to do is trim a little bit of the eligibility standards so the people at the very top end aren't able to receive the benefits, but those who are lower down and who are struggling get their benefits. When you talk about other proposals like Social Security, people are open to ideas, but they're not open to cutting benefits for their grandparents. They want to make sure that today's kids have a decent deal.
Or that they have a decent deal.
That they have a decent deal.
But they won't, because there's no money to pay it all.
Well, here's what people are willing to do, though. If they can make the trade-off choices themselves, if you want to retire a little bit later and pay less in taxes now, you should have that right.
One piece of data that I thought was good news, you say most people think anyone who wants to work can work his way out of poverty.
That's right. I think it is very good news that people have that sense that working hard is the key to getting yourself into a better financial position.
You say the public is ahead of the politicians on this.
Absolutely. Look, the American people are ahead of the politicians on almost everything, and they have been through every major change in American life. When you start talking about the changes, if you begin talking about it, we have a budget crisis, we have to slash and burn and hurt people, you never get support like that. But if you can present a different picture of how Social Security will work, as I mentioned earlier, there's popular support for that.
The budget crisis has gotten to people. Spend less if it means...
Until we get our house in order. I mean,
people really want to spend less.
They want to spend less.